Today we're going to be talking about hardwood floors and refinishing hardwood floors, when you should, when you shouldn't, and how to do it. And the punchline is, it's not as cheap as you think. Let's talk about it. All right, today we are at one of our rehabs in Cobbs Creek in West Philly. You can see it's a nice, beautiful house, lots of original detail, and refinished floors. We've been working on this house for a little while. It took us a long time to get to this point. I think it really turned out good. We've got lots of trim and original detail everywhere. So, getting on to refinishing floors and what we learned through this project. So basically we had two projects that we ended up refinishing floors on at the same time in this neighborhood. We had never done it before. So the first thing we learned was about cost. Normally with a house like this, we'd be pulling up these boards, we'd be buying new floorboards, whether it's hardwood or vinyl. It's gonna run about $3 to $4 a square foot, plus labor, which is say another $150 a square foot. So you're somewhere around like $450 to $550 a square foot all in to install new flooring, plus whatever it costs for you to throw the old flooring away. What I learned here was that, number one, the prices vary dramatically between hardwood floor finishers. And when I say dramatically, it went from like $2 a square foot all the way up to one guy who was more than $7 a square foot. So I was getting quotes as low as like $3,500 for this house, and as high as one was I think like $8,000. It was really hard to determine like who's better. Is someone really going to stain it? Are the processes different? So the price fluctuates a lot. So that's one thing to know, that if you're paying $5 a square foot to refinish it and it takes a lot longer, you may not really be saving costs. And the last point about saving costs is, around the perimeter, almost in every room of the house, when they refinished the floors, we had to repaint because they messed up a lot of the paint around the trim and on the walls. So that probably cost us another $1,000 or $2,000 to have a crew come in here and repaint. So number two is the timing. When you install new flooring, even in today's climate in 2022, with materials taking longer to get where they need to go, it might take you 1 to 2 weeks to get floors delivered. And then if you have enough guys, they're installed in 1 to 2 days, or so let's say 2 to 3 days. So it's a very quick process from start to finish. Even from you ordering it, it can be less than a week, let's say, if the material is in stock. With refinishing flooring, it's a really popular thing these days, and most installers that I talked to, maybe about 4 or 5 of them, they were at minimum 6 weeks out. I didn't expect that, so when we budgeted the time for this project, this extended our rehab like 2 months by the time everything was said and done. So not only was it 6 weeks out, I waited till about 2 weeks before we needed him to call. We had to schedule 6 weeks out, and then we had another delay because something happened that week. So it ended up being 2 months out, and the process for refinishing the floors takes about, for this house, it took about 4 working days. So it's almost a full week, and no one else can be working at the same time. So timing is something really important. You really need to be calling your floor finisher like at the start of your rehab if you're planning on saving your hardwood. The third thing that you have to think about is the detail of the floor and if there's any areas that are not salvageable. If you have an area, let's say, if you take this area, we had another house in West Philly that had a little corner, something like this, and it ended up being really warped. So if you're replacing floors, no problem, it all goes out, it doesn't matter, you're gonna be changing everything. When you're refinishing, if you don't notice those areas and you don't plan to figure out, if you have a design or a little detail that you can't find in a store, you have a big problem, because you may have 95% of your floor area that looks great, and you have a couple little corners that look all out of whack, and if it's in a living room like this, you got a big problem. So make sure you're thoroughly looking at all the detail of not just your floor, but the steps, the treads, and the risers too when you're doing it. If you have broken, like all these risers for this steps, you can see they're all nice and straight, they're not chipped here, but a lot of houses have chipped risers, and if there's dents and indents in them, you don't want to keep them. You got to take them out and install new ones. So those are the 3 things to keep in mind. Make sure you plan properly before you get started on refinishing any floors in a house, because it can cost you way more than you think if you do it wrong.